Hello, 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 good evening. Am I audible? Hello, 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 good evening. Am I audible? So, good evening, guys. I hope I'm audible and I'm visible to you. Please give me a heads up if I am audible and if I'm visible, so that we can actually proceed with the session. Okay. So, I hope many of you could not attend the live session, it seems. So, I hope if you have not attended the live sessions, you've still gone and watched the videos because I was already told you you all already know how important writing answers is. One more thing, I hope all of you, good evening, Veena. I hope all of you are practicing writing answers. You know, this is the key criteria. Unless you are able to write proper answers, it will be a mess, trying to figure out, trying to complete the paper, trying to write proper answers, trying to score well is going to be very difficult. So I hope all of you are writing. Yes, I hope all of you are writing. So today you just want me to write the answers, or will you give me the answers also a little bit? So tell me, I just have to give the answers, or are you going to tell me the answers? So in all of the questions that we are doing, in all of the writing sessions that we are doing, I'm trying to incorporate the September 24 exams questions so that you will be able to figure out, like, once you are able to solve those questions, a little bit of a confidence also you'll gain because it's a little, because we've heard so much about the paper, and obviously we know that literally almost everyone screwed up the paper. So we don't want to end up with that. So I'm going to start with the session. So many people are there, but no one is even wishing good evening, huh? That's just not so done, right? So I'll be reading the question. I hope you guys identify. I want you to give the answers, and then obviously we'll be starting with the writing part. Karthik agreed to sell his laptop. This was again a September 24 exam question. Karthik agreed to sell his laptop to Vasant for a price to be fixed by Kusum, a hardware engineer. However, before delivery of the laptop, Karthik changed his mind and did not share any particulars and configurations of the laptop with Kusum, which made her unable to do the valuation. So basically, here, the price will be fixed by a third party. Good evening, Darshan. Good evening. So basically, here, price will be fixed by a third party, correct? Price is fixed by a third party. So basically, mostly the question relates to this. Good evening, Manoj. However, before delivery of the laptop, Karthik changed his mind and did not share any particulars and configuration of the laptop with Kusum, which made her unable to do the valuation. So, third party fixing the price, Kusum refused to do the valuation and the third party refused to value. When the third party refuses to value the goods, the contract becomes void. But one thing that we need to understand here is that Karthik did not share any particulars and configuration. So Kusum, the reason she refused or he refused, whatever, to fix the price was because one of the parties did not give him enough information to do that. So that means it's a fault of a party. And when it is a fault of any of the party is liable to give damages to the other person. Vasant needed. Good evening, guys. Good evening. And please, the way we are identifying each part of the question, that is how you're supposed to do in the exams. You should be able to identify the provision, only then you'll be able to write the whole. And also, you should be very clear with what provisions will appear because there has to be a sequence. You cannot say first, you cannot write third party doesn't fix the contract as void, and then you are writing in a contract of sale price may be fixed by a third party. That's just so not, I mean, it's so haphazard. It's so haywire, doesn't even link at all. So please, you should be very clear about the provisions that you have to write, and then you decide how to write, and then you should be very clear in your mind that what should come first and what should come later. Vasant needed laptop for his project, so he promised Karthik that if the laptop is delivered to him, he would pay a reasonable price. However, Karthik decided not to sell his laptop to Vasant. Now Vasant wants to know from you, being a legal expert, whether Karthik is bound by his promise as he agreed earlier to deliver his laptop at a reasonable price. No. Why? Because when the third party refuses to fix the price, the contract is void. If it does not agree to deliver, what is the other remedy available? Yes, Vishal can claim damages. So let's start with the answer. I hope you all also try to figure out the answer. I hope you also try to write the answers, most importantly. And don't forget, and don't write as per the Indian Contract Act. Be very careful, please. This is SOGA now, as per Sale of Goods Act, not Indian Contract Act. As per the provisions of the Sale of Goods Act 1930. Be careful, this is Sale of Goods Act, not Indian Contract Act. Price in a contract of sale. By the way, please ignore my writing. I cannot do anything about it. I have been officially declared that my writing resembles the writing of a doctor. So maybe somewhere in my life I wanted to become a doctor, so I've just adopted the writing. So cannot do anything about that. Price in a contract of sale may be fixed in the agreement or may be left to be fixed in any other manner. The parties may agree on the price to be fixed by a third party. If in a contract of sale, the price is to be fixed by a third party and such party refuses to fix the price of the goods, the contract shall be void. One more thing, just out of this, if let's say I have a question which I have to refer to Sale Goods Act, but it also has a reference to sale, let's say Indian Contract Act. Can I actually in the contract even make a reference for the same? Yes, you can do that. Absolutely, you can do that. Further, if the good evening, Amrita. If the parties to the contract, or rather, if any of the party to the contract prevents the third party from fixing the price, he shall be liable to compensate the aggrieved party. So this is my provision. Therefore, Vishal wants to know from you whether Karthik is bound by his promise. So therefore, Karthik is not bound by his promise to sell the laptop at a reasonable price as the contract is void. Since Karthik had prevented, one more thing, if there are multiple questions and you're giving conclusion, please try to go to the next line for the next conclusion, that the presentation is good and it draws the attention to the, what do you say, the examiner also, that you have given separate conclusions. So it's clean, it's clear, and it's presentable then. Since Karthik had prevented Kusum from fixing the price, he is liable to compensate the he's liable to compensate Vishal. Therefore, Vishal shall have a right to claim damages from Karthik. Right? Next question I want you guys to answer rather than me giving the answer. So I want an answer from all of you before I actually give you the answer. Avyuk purchased 100 kgs of wheat from Bhaskar at rupees 30 per kg. Bhaskar says that wheat is in the warehouse in the custody of Kishore, the warehouse keeper. Kishore confirmed Avyuk that he can take the delivery of the wheat from him. Until then, he is holding the wheat on Avyuk's behalf. Before Avyuk picks the goods from the warehouse, the whole wheat in the warehouse is flowed in flood. Now Avyuk forms his price on the contention that no delivery has been made by the seller. Whether Avyuk is right with views under the Sale of Goods Act, please tell me. If he is right with his views under the Sale of Goods Act, please tell me, guys. You will answer, then I'll write the answer. You can decide not to give the answer. We both can sit and admire each other. I cannot see you. I can only admire your messages. You can admire the, what to say? Nothing to say. Constructive delivery. Okay, Meghna. What about the others? What about the others? So only one will give the answer. Rest of you, Abhyuk should bear the loss. Okay. Okay. So I guess everyone got the answer. The only problem, ma'am, we all get the answer. The only problem is writing the answer. The questions are never tricky. The answer is the trickiest part. Kishore confirmed Avyuk that he can take the delivery of the wheat. Until then, he is holding the wheat on Avyuk's behalf. This is what? Constructive delivery. He says no delivery. Is he correct? No. So who has to bear the loss? Avyuk. Right? So as per the provisions of the Sale of Goods Act, please don't write like this in the exams. Delivery in a contract of sale may be actual, symbolic, or constructive. When the delivery of the goods are made without any physical movement, such a delivery is delivery by acknowledgement I was just thinking, today my laptop is actually behaving so well. And lo, delivery by acknowledgement or constructive delivery. When a third party acknowledges with the buyer that he is holding the goods on behalf of the buyer, such acknowledgement results in the delivery of goods to the buyer, even if buyer does not get the physical goods. That means here, can I say the moment Abhyukt acknowledged that I'm holding the goods for you, he has already delivered the goods. The delivery has already taken place. Sorry, the moment Kishore confirmed with Abhyukt that I'm holding the goods on your behalf, the delivery has already taken place. So now Abhyukt wants his price on the contention that, therefore, oof, therefore, Abhyukt is not right in his claim since the delivery has already taken place. He shall be liable for the price of the goods. I hope it's clear to all of you. Yes, can we go forward? Can I go forward to the next question? Yes. Oh my God, Mrs. Geeta. This question is like had been asked, given so many times in the RTPs, asked in the questions also, exams also. In fact, in your Jan 25 RTP also this question is there. So Mrs. Geeta went to the local rice and wheat wholesale shop and asked for 100 kgs of basmati rice. The shopkeeper quoted the price of the same as 125 per kg, to which she agreed. Mrs. Geeta insisted that she would like to see the sample. She would like to see the sample of what will be provided to her by the shopkeeper before she agreed upon such purchase. The shopkeeper showed her a bowl of rice as sample. The sample exactly corresponded to the entire lot. The buyer examined the sample casually without noticing the fact that even though the sample was that. See, one thing is very clear. They showed her as the same. So that means the provision is, what provision will you write? Sorry. So what provision will you write here? Very evidently, the case relates to sale by sample, correct? The buyer examined the sample casually without noticing the fact that even though the sample was that of basmati rice, it contained a mix of long and short grains. The cook. So the buyer examined the sample casually. Whose fault is it? Buyer's fault or the seller's fault? Obviously, it's the buyer's fault. Without noticing that, and they have given the sample exactly corresponded to the lot. Without noticing the fact that even though the sample was that of a basmati rice, it contained a mix of long and short grains. The cook, on opening the bags, complained that the dish, if prepared with the rice, would not taste the same as the quality of rice was not as per the requirement of the dish. Now, Mrs. Geeta wants to file a suit of fraud against the seller, alleging him of selling mix of. Will she be successful? No. He showed her the sample. She saw the sample. The sample exactly, the goods were exactly as per the sample. There is no fraud. Explain the basic law. So they have also told you. So this is basic law of sale by sample. Ha. Decide the fate, no remedy. What would be your answer in case Mrs. Geeta specified her exact requirement? If she specified her exact requirement, then it would be what? Sale for the specific purpose of buyer. So this is my next provision. So first I should write sale by sample and then sale by specific purpose of the buyer. So starting. I have a question. In the second case, can she return the goods back? I have a question. In the second case, can she return the goods back? Varsha, if she had checked with her requirement or specified her requirement, which one? She had checked with her requirement or specified her requirement, which one? She would have checked with her requirement or specified her requirement, which one? As per the provisions of the Sale of Goods Act 1930, when the sale is made by sample, the following conditions must be fulfilled. 1. Lavanya, you are saying in both the cases the answer is no. 1. Bulk must correspond to the sample. Second, the buyer must be given an opportunity to examine the goods, right? And third, the goods must not have any defects, or rather, the goods must not have any latent defects which make them unmerchantable. I just hope I have space to write the whole thing now. If the following conditions, okay, my laptop has its own mind. Actually, because we are streaming with the same laptop, this issue happens. I told you yesterday also. No, Meghna, here they have told you, right, about sale by sample. So, and the sample, and the question is more like based on sample rather than caveat emptor. So that is why we are talking about sale by sample. Otherwise, what you are saying is also correct. But here more of like, the whole question relates to sale was made by sample, sample was showed. So you have to give that answer, and they have said, please quote the rules of sale by sample. So you have to answer as per the provisions of Sale of Goods Act. Sorry, sale by sample. I'm so sorry. If the following conditions are not fulfilled, the buyer can return the goods back. Correct? Further, when the buyer specifies the reason of his purchase to the seller, second, depends upon the seller's skill and judgment, and seller is a dealer in those type of goods. But Lavanya, uh, just reconsider this question once. I'll come back. Okay? If in such a case the goods do not suit the buyer's purpose, the buyer can return the goods back. Okay? So the buyer can return. So this is your provision. It's a 7 marks or a 6 marks question. So obviously the provision has to be quite explanatory, and it will be obviously a little lengthy also. There are multiple provisions also. So therefore, Mrs. Geeta shall not have any remedy as she had examined the sample casually and the bulk corresponded to the sample. Okay? Now, Lavanya, coming when she specified her purpose, then is it actually sale by sample or is she relying on the seller? When she has specified her purpose to the seller, why she wants the goods, she's actually relying on the seller for the purchase. She's not making the selection on her own. So in that case, can she return? Yes. If she specifies the purpose of the purchase, then the seller must supply goods which suit the buyer's purpose. Since the goods are not suitable to her purpose, she can return the goods back. Lavanya, I hope you got why the answer is this. Okay, this question, now you will tell me the answer. I have given a lot of answers. This answer, you will tell me what provisions you have to write. I want you to give me the answer to this question, guys. So the question is there in front of you. Give me the answer to this question and okay, sale by sample. Only sale by sample? One, yes, okay. What about the second one? Soumya, for what you're saying, the buyer must be given a chance to examine the goods as in? But the buyer was given the chance to examine the goods. Had that piece, no? Wholesomeness, okay. Wholesomeness would have been there if he did not taste the sample. Second, if the seller did not tell him anything about, my sweets were fresh and all that, then it would be wholesomeness. But because those two provisions apply here, wholesomeness is not applicable. Okay? Okay. Okay, so let's just figure out the question. Prashant reaches a sweet shop and asks for 1 kg of burfi if the sweets are fresh. The seller replies, "Sir, all my sweets are fresh and of good quality." Prashant agrees to buy on the condition that first he tastes. So this is what? When he says, "I'll taste," this is what? Sample. Correct or not? And when he says, "Sir, all my sweets are fresh," this is what? description. So here we have two provisions, sale by sample and description. Now let's see the question, what they say. To check the quality, seller gives him one piece to taste. Prashant, on finding the quality is good, asks the seller to pack. On reaching the house, Prashant finds that burfi is stale, not fresh. The burfi is stale and not fresh, while the piece tasted was fresh. Now Prashant wants state with reasons. Can he avoid the contract? Yes, because he has tasted. So that's sale by sample. Will your answer be different if Prashant does not taste the sweet? If he does not taste the sweet, then it is what? Description. Answer would still be the same. So here my provisions are first sample, second description, right? So let's write this provision. As per the provisions of Sale of Goods Act 1930, when the sale is made by sample. Okay. Can I just say I have to write this entire provision here? Correct or not? Yes? So I'm not writing it here. Refer to previous question. Okay? Not writing it here. In case of a contract of sale, when the sale is made by description, the bulk must correspond to the what? Description. Correct? If the bulk does not correspond to the description, the buyer may return the goods back. One more thing here. When you write the sale by sample ka provision, make sure you don't write the provisions as AB. You can write it as 1, 2, but please don't write it as AB because the question here is A and B. Therefore, Prashant can return the goods back as the bulk did not correspond to the sample, right? The answer would remain the same if Prashant did not taste the sweet. The seller had informed him that the goods were, or rather, the sweets were fresh, but the bulk did not correspond to the description. Therefore, Prashant can return the goods back. Right? Clear, all of you? We'll go to the next one. Messrs. RK Traders buyer made contract with Messrs. CK Traders for purchase of 2000 kgs of basmati rice. Okay, so this was September 24 question. And guys, I want you to identify the provision of this question. And I want you to, so I'm giving you 2 minutes. I want you to read it. I want you to identify and answer. I'm waiting for the answer, guys. And as many students are attending this session, everyone should have an answer. Hello, people. Okay, he can return the whole goods, I get that. But you have to tell me the provision on which basis you can answer, you will answer, and he can return. That is what I want. Not specific purpose, Meghna. Not specific purpose. Am I visible? Okay, I'm visible. Messrs. RK Traders made contract with Messrs. CK Traders for purchase of 2000 kgs of basmati rice specifically grown in Chhattisgarh state. Should be packed in pink color. First of all, we have talked about where the rice is grown and we have talked about packaging, right? See now guys, one thing very clear. We are able to identify the answer, but we don't know on what grounds we got the answer. We don't know the provision. You are giving me the answer. You are saying he can return. I totally agree he can return. We both agree. But the point is on what provisions, on what grounds he can return. That's the main point here. Right? The main point. Wrong quantity. No. No, it's not wrong quantity. I'm sure it's not wrong quantity. Is it wrong quantity, guys? Is it wrong quantity? State to be packed in. So here he has told you where the rice is grown. Okay, Manoj. And how the rice has to be packed. This is all description. Correct? The seller agreed for specific packing. However, by misunderstanding, staff of seller packed the quantity of 1800 kgs grown in the state in white color and the remaining 200 in pink color bags. What does he have a right? So now, no, the goods are not C. Is it a defective packing or is it a packing not as per description? Now, please understand another 2 points to understand here. Is the packing is not as per the description of the packing or is it a defective packing? When the packing is defective, then we talk about merchantability. Here is the packing defective. I repeat again, when the packing is defective, then we talk about merchantability. Here is the packing defective. No, I have described you a particular way of packing and the goods are not packed as per that way. So is it defective packing or is it not packing as per description, not packing as per description? So merchantability cannot even come here. Meghna, did you understand? Referring, can he reject the entire quantity? Yes. See, Lavanya, when I had asked you to pack 2000 kgs in pink bags grown in Chhattisgarh, you have packed 200 and the rest 1800 are some other. Can I reject the whole of the goods? Yeah, why should I sit and bifurcate? Goods of different description matched together. I'm not liable to sit and bifurcate, no? So, can the buyer reject the entire quantity? Yes. On the other hand, what is the remedy available? See, it's Sale of Goods Act. So we are not talking about breach of contract, Somya. So because it is not Indian Contract Act, we will not talk about breach of contract. Breach of contract means you're not performing. Here the seller is performing, but he's not performing as per the description. So that's two different things. Breach of contract means what? You are not performing the contract. Whereas here it is breach of the conditions of the contract. So it is not breach of contract, but rather breach of the terms of the contract. On the other hand, what is the remedy available to the buyer if he accepts the entire quantity? He accepts the entire quantity means he has treated a breach of condition as a breach of warranty. And when he treats a breach of condition as a breach of warranty, he can claim the damages, correct? So starting with the answer, so I have to write two things. One is description and one is breach of condition treated as a breach of warranty. As per the provisions of the Sale of Goods Act 1930, did you understand, guys? So see how that is why you need even a single line is important. I tell you, in law, one line can make a question. And it is so confusing. It looks like this could also be the provision, that could also be the provision. What provision am I supposed to write then? So you have to be very careful with your answers, guys. You have to, read it. The more you'll solve, the more you'll be able to identify the keywords. As per the provisions of the Sale of Goods Act 1930, when the sale is made by description. Okay, now description ka question we have already done here. Right? So I am not writing it again. We have to write the same provisions. I'll just write refer to previous question. Right? So that is if the buyer can return the goods back, this whole thing you will write. When the sale, the goods, if buyer may return the goods back. Okay? Then further, in case of breach of condition, the buyer may elect to cancel the contract or he may decide to carry the contract. If the buyer, instead of cancelling, accepts the goods, he has treated a breach of condition as a breach of warranty. In such a case, he can claim the damages from the seller. Correct? Therefore, so going to the question, the buyer has a right to reject the entire. Therefore, the buyer has a right to reject the entire quantity of goods as the goods were not as per the description. This is clear to everyone? Yes? Now, on the other hand, what is the remedy available if he accepts the entire quantity? In case the buyer accepts the entire quantity, he can claim the damages from the seller. Correct? So we are done with this. Now moving on to the next question. PK ordered timber of 1 inch thickness for being made into drums. The seller agreed to supply. In this unit note, there are some real tricky questions. Go to the Swift scans and try to solve those questions. There are some of them are really tricky. And before you actually, look into the answers or peep into the answers, try to figure out what provisions you will write there, right? So I have selected some of the questions. There are some other questions also which are again tricky questions. There are a lot of questions in this unit. So go to the Swift scans, try to solve the question, try to figure out the answer, and then look into the answer. PK ordered timber of 1 inch thickness for being made into drums. The seller agreed to supply the required timber of 1 inch. However, the timber supplied by the seller varies in thickness from 1 inch to 1.4 inches. The timber is commercially fit for the purpose for which it was ordered. TK rejects the timber. Explain with relevant provisions. Okay. What will be the provision here? TK for being the cell. Okay. TK ordered timber of 1 inch thickness for being made into drums. Can we say this is okay? Soumya, why it is not sale by description? One of the key points to identify whether it is sale by description or not. How will you identify? Generally, when the seller describes the goods, it is sale by description. Generally, when the buyer describes the goods and tells the seller, I repeat again, generally when the seller describes the goods, it is sale by description. Generally, when the buyer describes the goods and tells the seller why he wants the goods, it is specific purpose of the buyer. Please be careful. When in the previous case, ma'am, in the previous case also buyer described the goods, but he did not say for what purpose he wanted. He just gave a description, I want the goods packed like this. That is what? Sale by description. When the seller says, I will sell you these type of goods, it is sale by description. When the buyer says, I want the goods packed like this, I want the goods grown from this place, this is what? Description. But when the buyer tells the seller the type of goods he wants, and he also tells him why he wants them, it is specific purpose of the buyer. Soumya, Manoj, I hope it is clear to you both. Why it is not sale by description and why it is specific purpose of the buyer. Okay, this we have again already done the provision. If you see, when the buyer specifies the reason of his purchase, right? So I'm not writing the whole provision here, rather, when the buyer, please refer to Mrs. Geeta question, second provision, right? So explain with relevant provision whether TK can reject the timber. Therefore, TK can reject the timber as the goods were not as per his what? Specific purpose. Clear? Not writing this answer, nothing to write also in this. Okay, this is one question, one last question for the day. And I want you to again tell me the answer. You have to tell me the answer to this question, guys. The last question of the day, and you have to tell me the answer to this question. Excuse me. I'm so under the weather. Sure, Manoj, no price is fixed. Are you sure, Prats? Are you sure? Are you sure, guys? But price is a criteria, no? But price isn't price a criteria. As per the provisions of the Sale of Goods Act 1930, price in a contract of sale may be fixed by an agreement, or it may be left to be fixed in any other manner. If in a contract of sale, price in the contract has not been fixed, the contract shall. Achha, I did not even read the question. He agreed to sell his Swift car. Both missed to discuss the price. Later, M refused. Okay. Later, M refused to sell the car on the ground that the agreement was void, being uncertain about the price. Okay. So, if in a contract of sale, price in the contract has not been fixed, the contract shall not become void on the grounds that the terms are what? Uncertain. So he is saying price was not fixed, so the contract is void. Even if the price is not fixed, the contract is not void, the buyer has to pay a reasonable price, right? So it does not become void on the grounds that the terms are uncertain. In such a case, the contract is valid and the buyer must pay a kya, reasonable price. Is it clear to all of you? Yes? Does B have any rights against A? Therefore, Mr. B can compel Mr. A to sell the car and perform the contract. Correct? And with this, we are done for today's session. So, Should we conduct another session for part 2, that is unit 3 and 4 of Sale of Goods Act? If yes, do let me know. In that case, we'll arrange a session tomorrow. If you find any question really tricky and you're like, I'm just not able to figure out, you can send me that question. We can discuss that in the writing session also. Okay, then I'll do one writing session tomorrow for part 3 and 4, that is unit 3 and 4, that is part 2 of Sale of Goods Act. So, ठीक है, I'll arrange the session tomorrow. And also, please if you find any question you're not able to figure out, not able to answer, and you want me to answer that question or make you write that answer in the class, just send it to me. I'll do that. Okay? Yeah, that one question is there. No, we had discussed that in the class also. That we will write. We'll write that auction sale ka question. Don't worry. You can message me also. Personally, you can message me. I'll make sure those question I'll add it in the writing session. Okay? I hope this writing session has helped. I hope you are studying well. I hope you're working hard. And I hope you are motivated every day, because this is the time period, guys, when you are the most demotivated, especially 31st. Your friends are out partying, and what you are doing is sitting with your books. But please understand, work hard, you will party harder for the rest of your life, right? So keep working, keep studying, keep writing answers. Happy learning and stay motivated. I'll see you all again in the next session. Till then, bye bye, bye bye. Good night, guys.